Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From Tip to Tail. This podcast is brought to you by Cuddly. Cuddly is the only dedicated crowdfunding platform built specifically for animal welfare organizations worldwide. My name is Bridget.
And I'm Sydney. Here on From Tip to Tail, we are bringing you raw, unscripted stories from animal welfare leaders. Together, we'll dive into the work that they do, the struggles they face, and the lives that are saved along the way.
Today, we're speaking to Sheryl Green of Hearts Alive Village, a nonprofit organization that was founded in the heart of Nevada because of an intense need to help save dogs and cats from losing their lives in an overcrowded shelter system. Their adoption centers and foster homes continue to provide a safe haven for pets to heal while awaiting their new home. Sheryl's also featured in the latest edition of Chicken Soup for the Soul, Magic of Dogs. So, let's get started. Hi there, Sheryl. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. We're so thrilled to have you. It's been amazing to, because we only started working with your organization recently, but I know the more we dig into it, the more we're like, wow, you do so much. So we're so excited to get to highlight everything that's going on with you and your mission and everything there. So if you could maybe start off with how you got into rescue and how the rescue started itself.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to give you the short version of my story because it's a long one. I moved out to Vegas in 2008, and it was because of a divorce, and I went through a pretty major depression. My stepmom walked into the bathroom one day. I was curled up on the floor, just in the fetal position. I was just done with life. And she pulled me up off the floor and said, go do something for somebody else. So I did. I went and I started volunteering with animal rescues. And about 7 years later, my friend Kelly, who I'd met through rescue, she lost her service dog to cancer. And he was this amazingly special animal that just brightened a room the second he walked in. I asked her, if I could donate money to any rescue, who would it be? And she said, my friend just started Hearts Alive Village. So that would be great. And I said, cool. And I didn't talk to her for like another 3 months while I planned a huge event that I didn't want to ruin the surprise for. So I planned Paw It Forward, and I worked with Christy, our founder, and said, you can be as involved as you want, or I can hand you a check at the end. And she got involved. We did it together, raised $5,000 for this brand new rescue. And I've been a part of it ever since. So that's my story. I had actually come on probably about 6 months after the organization started. Christy's daughter was 10 years old at the time, and she had to write a journal entry for her English class that said, if I had one wish. And she said, if I had one wish, I'd start an animal rescue called Hearts Alive Village, and we'd save everything from dogs and cats to pigs and cows. And her mom got to read that at the end of the year and said, is this something you really want to do? And Kendall, her daughter, said, yeah, but I know it would be too hard. And Christy was like, oh, heck no, I'm not letting my daughter think dreams are too hard. So here we are about 6 years later. We just rescued our first pig. So we're well on our way. No cows yet, but give us time. But we've just passed the 3,600 animal mark. And that's just animals that we've saved and rehomed. That's not counting all of the community outreach, which I'm sure we'll discuss.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. No, that's so, and like for me too, so my aunt and my cousin, my aunt was having as she was I think all as we grow up and mature into our teenage years, we kind of grow distant from our parents. And my cousin and my aunt actually started volunteering together at an animal rescue, and it really cemented their wonderful mother-daughter bond. So I love that, the mother-daughter aspect to things, because I feel when you do something for someone else or an animal, it does kind of take you out of yourself and does some really great stuff. So that's such an amazing story.
Best origin story ever.
Definitely. I mean, for both of you, I mean, it just sounds like it's like, let's take something hard and let's make it something good.
Like an example that sets like for that daughter.
I know.
Right? I love that.
Well, so circling back to kind of like fast forwarding, I guess I should say, to like present day, how have things been going with COVID? Because I know everything varies state to state, organization to organization. So how have things been going for you guys?
In terms of Vegas in general, it's really ugly here. We are, of course, a tourism-based town. And with all of that being pretty much shut down, we have an unemployment rate over 33%.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. The good side of that, I guess it's not good, but we have really been able to kind of step into this community resource role. We've received a lot of assistance from larger organizations. Just in March, we got a grant and some funding from the greatergood.org. Yes. And the Dave and Cheryl Duffield Foundation. And they basically took Kendall's Cupboard, which is our pet food pantry, from serving 300 pets a month to serving 3,000.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah, seriously. It's rough here, guys. But, Dave and Cheryl Duffield gave us, funds to get a warehouse. So we now have a much larger facility. And we get deliveries of food from different organizations and different businesses. And we really were able to help not just pets in families, in homes, but we're also working with other organizations, with other rescues, with cat trappers around the village, the valley. Sorry, everything's the village with
the
us.
Village.
So yeah, it's a horrible, horrible situation here. Thankfully, we're getting this support and we're able to assist the community. So, you think about that, and that's 3,000 animals that might not have been able to stay in their families. And our shelter is operating under seriously limited services. They are not open for owner surrenders. They're not picking up strays. And they're only doing adoption by appointment, I believe. And I don't think they're doing spay and neuter at all.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So it's been just constant calls for help. We also have our village fund. I told you everything is village with us, which is assisting pet parents with medical bills for their pets. Because again, that's another reason that these pets would have ended up outside of their homes and homeless. So we're able to come in and kind of assist with those bills and things like that.
I love all your different programs. It feels so holistic and so community centric. I mean, I feel like you even get the feel when you go into, like, I know when we went into like your thrift store, like you just feel like you're kind of at home, and it's all, I mean, you guys do so much. So I know that you are also expanding or you're starting a new veterinary service.
So this has been in the plans for quite a while, but we thought it was going to take us a bit longer to get here. Thankfully, we had some donors come in that are now a part of Hearts Alive. And yeah, we're opening our very first veterinary clinic. It's going to be the first nonprofit clinic in the state of Nevada. And it's going to be low cost and full service. So all of those pets that, haven't been receiving the care they need, not because their families don't want to, but because they just can't afford it. I'm sure you both have pets, and we've all stood in the vet's office and pretty much had a heart attack when you get that estimate and you're like, I don't even understand how this could possibly be this much. So now we're offering this service so that those pets that have really been overlooked they can get the treatment that they need and the care that they need, and for an affordable price. And that'll be supplemented by the Village Fund. So if the parents truly can't even pay our reduced prices, then they can apply for that. And, we've got amazing donors in the community, and we're always looking for more people to help. And that's how we can do it, and how we can keep those pets healthy and happy and in their home.
I love that. Oh, that warms my heart. I used to work at a rather expensive veterinary office, and it didn't happen all the time, but it happened often enough to hurt my heart, seeing people walk away because they couldn't afford to do a spay, do a neuter, even vaccinate their pets, and having to turn them away because of the prices. So that that gives me chills, knowing that there's programs out there for those types of people that want to take care of their pets, but perhaps just don't have, the resources to.
Definitely. And I mean, even on Cuddly, I feel like we see so many of these senior dogs who have such ailments that could have been handled earlier that were just put off because they were so expensive. And eventually, they get to an age where now this pet parent feels so overwhelmed by the variety of ailments that they just end up surrendering them to a shelter. And of course, who is going to adopt a senior dog with a ton of medical issues? They're few and far between. Everyone goes there waiting for the fluffy dog, right? So I love that so much, because the idea that now these pets can live out their full lives in a proper home, healthily, I feel like that's the goal too. We do all have relationships with our pets, and I can't imagine the hurt that it must feel to love your pet so much and not being able to offer that care. So what an amazing service that's going to offer, and what amazing timing. I can't believe that you guys are, with so many other organizations kind of having to shrink and tighten their belts, you guys are let's start something new.
I call Christy crazy to her face, so I don't feel bad saying it on here. She's been crazy since day one. It's always been expand, let's grow, let's do this. And we've all sat back, when we got our first adoption center, and we were oh my God, we can't do this. We can't afford this. What are you doing? But she's really such a visionary, and she's got so much heart for these animals. And she's we will do whatever it takes to be there for them, and to be their voice, and just to make life better. So yeah, we're forging ahead. We're hoping to open probably mid-September. We're dealing with building permitting and fire stuff, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's super exciting, and just to be able to offer a resource and offer another option for a family that's really, they hit a wall, and they're just we can't take care of our pet. We don't want to surrender them. We don't want to euthanize them, which is what's happening. So it's pretty cool. We get to help.
And inspiring to all of us, because I feel like Christy was out to just prove that you could follow your dreams. And she's not just doing the bare minimum of we have a rescue. We have a couple of fosters. It's nope, we've got a facility. We've got a vet office coming our way. It's don't just go for your dreams. Reach for the highest tippy top of the mountain kind of a thing. That's incredible.
One of the first things I remember her saying to me is, we can't rescue our way out of this problem. And that's, the animal welfare movement has really shifted focus to, instead of rescue, rehome, it's what can we do to get you to keep your animal so that we don't ever have to take them in, we don't ever have to rehome them, and they never have to go through the shelter system, which is just traumatic for so many.
Yeah, I know when we came to visit you all, I think that was the first time I really, at least got a vivid depiction of what the shelter system can do to an animal. Because I know, and I forget his name, but you had a dog there that was basically just curled up in a corner, just leave me alone. I'm so shaken and nervous. And he was a little bit bigger. He must have been a lab. And I remember being oh, how sad. And it was whoever was there was telling me, they're yeah, a lot of the larger dogs we get from shelters come out like this, and they need extra time to decompress. And when a dog is shivering in a corner of a shelter, you're not going to be oh, let's let's pick you. And so I think if you could maybe talk a little bit about that, because I know also it sounds like you have a little bit of a different idea about how to decompress the dog, because I know that's why he was in the thrift store, is like a homey environment with lots of people around.
You know what? Now's actually the perfect time to answer that question, because many of us have just come out or are still in quarantine. And if you think about your mental state, whether you know you're safe, you just know that you're alone and you can't go out and you're getting a little crazy. And if you think about that for now translating to an animal that doesn't know they're safe, they're smelling all I'm not a scientist or a vet, but they're smelling all the pheromones or whatever it is from other animals that are terrified. I know shelter staff does their best to take care of them, but they don't get a lot of interaction. It's just, make sure they're clean and safe and healthy. So, I mean, if volunteers don't come and work with them, chances are they're not really interacting with humans very much. They're not getting exercise. They're stuck in this, uncomfortable little area. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. It's depressing. We've seen so many animals that are shut down. Literally just, they're done with life. Like they are checked out. There is nothing quite as cool as seeing one of those animals start to perk up and start to realize, like, wait a second, hold on, life is getting better now. And I'll just give you an example. They're not even available for adoption yet because they're just not ready. We took in 2 dogs. They're big boys. One of them, their head is like this big. But they were left out on a chain in a front yard. They were not cared for properly. We're pretty sure they were beaten. I mean, just not a good situation. Christy worked with a neighbor of this guy for quite a while, along with animal control, to try and get these dogs away from him. And he finally was like, fine, just take them, loads them up in a crate, shipping crate, closed shipping crate, and drops them off at the vet. So they were treated, they're okay physically. We got them to our adoption center, and they, one of them does not deal with humans at all. Like he hides behind his brother the entire time. Christy sat in there for about 3 days, just, getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And, finally she was able to pet one, and they're coming around. They still have a lot of work to do, but it just to see like the light is back in at least one's eyes. The other one is kind of like with his brother, he'll do whatever. But yeah, it's amazing to see them come out of this like shell shock. And if we can prevent that in the first place, never make them go through it. I foster failed with a dog during quarantine, or foster to forever. But when I read his paperwork, it said he may need anxiety medication. I would show you him, but he's passed out right now next to my desk. Like it's the shelter environment. It just creates this very like negative place for them, and this frightening place.
Oh yeah.
So we use foster homes whenever possible, so they have that family life from day one. And if not, we've got comfortable spaces at our adoption center where they can kind of hang out, and we've got volunteers coming all the time and hanging out and playing with them and just socializing. So did that answer your question? I feel like that was really long.
No, it was perfect. I mean, it's so true. I think Sydney and I were just talking about how intense your feelings tend to be when you're trapped in your home. Because I think all of us have seen that. We're just like, I don't know, everything's fine, but I don't feel fine. So I love that illustration. I mean, that is exactly how we feel, and clearly that's how they feel, except for they don't speak English, so we can't explain what's going on to them. Yeah. That's incredible. Do you guys have a full staff at this point? I mean, so you've got so many programs going on with like the food bank, the rescue, all these different initiatives. So I imagine you have to have a full-time staff.
You'd think. Christy pretty much does enough work for like 20 people, maybe 25. We, up until I would say 12 to 18 months ago, we were entirely volunteer.
Oh, wow.
Like 100%, no one took a paycheck. She was given the opportunity to leave her job, her full-time job that she was doing, and run this as the executive director. And thankfully she took that. So, we've kind of all taken pay cuts to go and work, but it's really nice to know that you're making a difference every day and not to do this on top of a job or a business. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're up to, I think, like 10 full-time employees right now and another like maybe 5 part-time. That will grow as the clinic opens. But for now, yeah, we've kind of always been a skeleton crew. And right now we're accepting fewer volunteers just for safety's sake. Mm-hmm. So we're very careful with who we do bring in. But yeah, we wear every hat possible.
I mean, it sounds like it.
Right?
I mean, yeah, no wasted time or person. It's everyone gets to work. And I can only imagine too, I mean, with what you were saying of Christy just like sitting and just like convincing a dog to come out of their shell too. Mm-hmm. And then balancing that with like normal business operations that any other store would have to deal with and all these other things.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's quite an amazing juggler at this point.
She is. I'm like, I want to meet her. She just sounds like a force.
She is wonderful. She really is. And yeah, I always joke around with her, we save animals' lives, but we save people too. The people that have come to join our village and work with us, like we've all been changed because of it.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, we work with, at this point, like around 2,000 animal rescues who, I mean, some of them are very small. Some of them, I feel like from what we've heard, there are so many people who like start out volunteering for a rescue and they're like, I got to start my own. So they like sometimes are just 1 or 2 people kind of getting off the ground. So, I mean, with so many programs that you're all doing, what would you say is the best way to start preparing to launch a new program, to grow as an organization? Because I know so many of these, I mean, everyone has such lofty goals, but actually getting to like a successful finish line, or not finish line, that sounds too final, I think, but getting to Marker. A place where you're like confident that it has been a successful program and it will continue to thrive is hard to do.
A couple of ideas on that. One, relationships are absolutely everything. There is a little bit of cattiness, no pun intended, in the animal rescue community. And there's a lot of, I'm doing it the right way, you're doing it the wrong way kind of things. So sometimes it's difficult to work with other organizations. But if more groups did that, we would stop duplicating efforts and we would start identifying what's really needed. Like, okay, you guys got that. We'll step in and do this. So I think like finding out what is out there, what programs are already in existence, do they need to be improved upon, or are they kind of working at their capacity and doing what they can? And how can we work with another organization and really just identifying that need and targeting the program around that specific need. We do a lot of research on zip codes, the poverty levels, what zip codes have the highest surrender rate. That data is available. So being able to look at that, we were able to see, hey, you know what? There's a really big pocket of need in this one area. Oh, there's a veterinary clinic for sale there. Mm-hmm. That's where we're going to go. So like kind of just doing your research ahead of time, working with whoever you can work with and kind of putting egos aside and saying, you know what, the animals are they're our concern. They're our responsibility. So how do we work together to make their lives better? And then giving up on sleep.
Learning not to sleep is essential.
Oh no.
I love that though. I feel like with many rescues, and it's not a wrong thing, but they do tend to duplicate a lot of programs because they're very successful. So I like the idea of, I guess, doing the research and finding another initiative if that program's already doing well in the area. Let's find something else that could benefit and lift the community. I like that because I feel like I don't hear that very often, where people start looking for that new idea that hasn't come up yet or hasn't been implemented in the community. They more so follow what's already working and try and benefit it that way.
Yeah. And, maybe don't reinvent the wheel when it comes to something that's working in another state.
Mm-hmm.
There are nonprofit veterinary clinics in other states, and we've reached out to quite a few of them. Like, hey, how are you functioning? How does this work? Like, how can we use this for ourselves? And, just learn from others.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And I just know from personal experience, like starting a new program from scratch, like sometimes you just feel like so overwhelmed, and then you're just like, I know I'm not doing this right. So being able to look at someone else and be like, okay, they've already like tried and failed and I can learn from their failures. That sounds great. And also like being complimentary of like other people's programs enough to say like, you're doing such a good job at this. Like where is there a void? Where can I step in? I think that is such a great attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so right. It does get very catty of people being like even when it comes to like the medical care of a specific animal, it's like, well, you should be using this and you should be doing that. And it's like, listen, we're all doing our best. Like there are plenty of other animals to help. So if you have the time to comment on other people, maybe focus on another animal. You do also have another program.
Many.
I have a few.
Going down the list.
Well, I am, because I feel like it's worth mentioning because they are so unique. Helping veterans.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Charlie Mike is our veteran program. It's actually a spinoff of Continue Mission, which is a military term that I won't even attempt to describe because I was never in the military. But, right now, and before the pandemic as well, we're seeing veterans, I don't remember what the suicide rate is, like 22 per day or something.
It's high.
Something insane. Because they're dealing with loneliness. They're dealing with anxiety, with PTSD, with just these feelings of isolation from everything that's going on around them. And we've got pets that are dying in the shelters because there aren't enough homes for them. So we're always the Feed Two Birds with One Scone organization. So we said, what if we assist these veterans with animals? What if we create this amazing bond? We help with pet deposits. We help with, we waive our adoption fee. We help with medical and food. And sometimes we offer, a temporary foster because they've been hospitalized or, had some other issues come up. So it's really like, they've got all of this love to give. They have a home for this animal to be in. Why should the roadblock between these two getting together be financial? And we have seen, I'm not going to go into specifics because I'll cry, but we had one veteran that he couldn't get out of bed in the morning. Like his depression was so severe that he couldn't get out of bed. Health was deteriorating, just everything was just downhill. And we partnered him up with this dog that was also, a little shut down and having a difficult time. And the veteran reached out to us just a couple of weeks later. He was walking the dog every day. The two of them had bonded. They were just absolutely in love. Everybody's emotional state gets better. Everybody's physical state gets better. And we're just really just removing the roadblocks,
What a way to rehabilitate. I love that you said to feed two birds with one scone. I caught that and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard that before. That's wonderful.
It's seriously, why would we kill birds for an animal rescue? That is brutal.
I love that. But what a great way.
Yeah.
not only are you providing therapy and you're taking a dog out of that shelter where they can deteriorate and degrade really, really fast, and you're pairing it with somebody who, maybe needs emotional support or mental support or even physical support, like taking a dog on a walk every day. And you're pairing the two. And I love that. That's like, that is feed two birds with one scone.
Yep.
I know. And I feel like, so we hear these stories all the time, but they never get old. It's just like every time it's like chills starting at the top of my head all the way down. Like, it is so amazing because these are real people and these are real animals and they're coming together and they're not only feeling mentally a little bit better, but they're like working off the cobwebs of their actual body. It is so amazing. More than that, I feel like the fact that you're so involved with the entire process that if they get hospitalized, you're stepping in. If they need help with food, you're stepping in. Medical care, it's by all means not like, okay, guys, like now you're together forever. See you later. Good luck. It's like very much that village mentality that you all have, which is so wonderful and is clearly doing so much in your community. I can't even imagine if you guys weren't there, what it would look like. So grateful for you guys, for sure.
It takes all the intimidation out of like taking in an animal and having like the financial responsibility by yourself, maybe training responsibility by yourself. I like that. And you're right, Bridget, it's totally village mentality and you're kind of all in it together.
Yeah. Yep. I've done every Facebook post that I've written about the programs that we have supporting the community. I've said, we're in this together. It's the only way we're going to get through this craziness.
Definitely. Well, and so I kind of mentioned a little bit of your thrift store. And so just to say it, like totally open to the public. And I mean, so is it that a certain percentage goes back to the rescue or?
So our goal with everything we do is to have a self-sustaining aspect to it. So we started out with the adoption center, which is also a pet supply store, and that is new and gently used pet things, and obviously the food's new. And then 2 doors down, we took over another storefront and we opened oldies but goodies. And that's what you were talking about with the kind of living room setting.
Yes.
We've got senior dogs and cats in there, but it's also this boutique thrift store. And our stuff, everything goes into the programs. So as soon as, expenses are covered and all of that, the money goes right back in. It's not going anywhere else. So yeah, you can get great deals in there and it all goes right into the rescue. And there's no tax on anything we sell because we're a nonprofit.
So amazing. I mean, so great. I'm a huge fan of thrift stores in general. So
it's cool.
The fact
Plus
that
there's dogs running around, so
well,
can't beat
and
that.
like your little cat area too. I know when we went there, I was just like hanging out with all the cats, and they were all hiding in different corners. So it was like the fact that you get to hang out with cats and then go shopping afterwards. I mean, so are you guys still open? I guess I should ask that.
We are. The pet supply store has been open this entire time because we were considered essential. We did close the thrift store while we were in stage 1. I'm living under a rock right now, so I'm just like, what? No, I don't see anything. Just protect the animals. So, but we're reopened now. 6 feet of distance. Everybody's wearing masks. We're doing our thing. We have to keep our people safe. We want to keep our customers safe, and we definitely want to keep the animals protected.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, so great. Have you been taking in more animals? So you say your shelters were totally shut down right now, or are they still operating a little bit?
They're mostly empty. They're not accepting strays. They're not accepting owner surrenders. So that first week of quarantine, we were seeing kind of record numbers of people surrendering their animals. And we didn't know if it was because they were afraid that they could give it or catch it from their animals, or they just, lost their job, didn't know that they were going to be able to afford them. So we're not really sure about that. But we had an amazing amount of people step up to foster. I brought in 5 different friends to foster, and I'm happy to say all but one of them kept their dogs. But the community really did pull together for that. And our goal was just to get all of our animals into foster. So one, we could pull from the shelters, and two, if any of our villagers did get sick, we would be able to take in their animals and help in that way. And that is how I ended up with my little fur baby.
Oh yeah. And what's their name?
His name is Bodhi. Hold on one second. Come here, buddy. Come here.
We're ruining his nap.
Oh,
I know. So he started out as Butters. He was about 7 pounds overweight. And here, hop on the desk for a second. And now he is nice and slim. So yeah, I took him in to help out
crazy that they said he was anxious, because he looks like the calmest dog right now.
I mean, he is just so chill. He's so chill, and he is just a love bug. He sat on my desk for the first 3 weeks that I had him, just while I worked. Hi. And yeah, so it's been a bit of a crazy time, but I think for the most part, people are, trying to hold on to their animals. It's just a matter of how do we possibly afford this?
Mm-hmm. I mean, and I heard another rescuer talk about it too, because I feel like so many businesses are having trouble, and there are so many organizations that are kind of struggling. And I heard a rescuer talk about it, and they're like, no, we're doing great because this is what we're used to. We're used to not knowing what's going to happen the next day.
Yeah.
And we're used to being like, oh, that's what's happening right now in this moment. All right, let's jump into it. So I feel like it is amazing looking at what you've done. I mean, you've really been able to step in, work with the shelters. I mean, and we've heard, mixed bag of the struggles and an amazing, wonderful stories that have happened around this time of people adopting, but also giving up. But also there's a funding deficiency in a lot of these organizations. But it sounds like you guys are all right, this is what we're facing today. This many people surrendered their animals, so let's get more fosters and let's get a backup plan for a backup plan.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. Seriously, that's what rescues are used to. It's every day is a new fire to put out, and you do the absolute best you can. You remember that the animals are the most important part of it, and you beg your butt off for money. So
I mean, yeah, and it sounds like you guys have done so much with what's been donated to you during this time too. So I'm sure everyone who's donating is okay, let's double down on this. They'll just keep expanding and doing even more amazing things.
Can you repeat that and make sure that goes out to the world?
Definitely,
right? We do. We've got a lot of great donors, but yeah, we're just kind of moving from the really small organization to that mid-size. So now we're okay, people, we're established, we're doing good, we've got a plan, we need the help.
Definitely. Well, so we have a couple fun questions about Bodhi, I'm assuming. Is he your only?
I also have, I have a 15-year-old Beagle Lab mix named Akasha.
I love the Beagles.
And she's gorgeous. And if she weren't sleeping in another room, I would hold her up too. But that dog has been with me through a divorce, 2 cross-country moves, and I like to call it the island of misfit boys that I have dated.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
It's fun.
Oh, geez.
That is great.
So these could be about either of them then.
Okay.
So if your dog could talk, what would be the first thing they said?
Oh my God. I've been working on Bodhi's voice for a while now because Akasha came to me immediately. We're thinking Bodhi's a surfer dude from Point Break, even though that's not why I named him that. So he would just be like, bro, let me sleep. I need a nap. Akasha, God, she's old and cranky. I think she'd ask for more peanut butter. She loves when I get to the end of the peanut butter container and I just give it to her and she just sticks her whole head in and comes out with peanut butter on her eyebrows.
The whole circle.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay. So if your dog was president, what would be the first thing they said? Or they did,
Oh
I
my
should
God,
say.
I wish one of my dogs
did.
were presidents. That'd be amazing. I think they would extend the quarantine.
They're like, let's keep humans home.
Seriously, I think they'd be like, all right, first order of business is like, how many walks do we get? Like, let's negotiate this. And yeah, I work from home. Like, it's cool. I like my like noon walk and going out 18 times, getting treats throughout the day and, sleeping on your feet. So
Yeah, they're not one of those dogs that are just like, enough, get back to work.
That's Akasha at this point. Yeah. I kiss on her and I love on her and she's just like, ugh, and just like leaves. And I'm like, okay.
Oh man.
That makes you feel good.
Okay. And so for the last question, if you had to pick one life motto, what would it be?
Is this me or my dog?
For you.
Okay. For me, my life motto is the time is now, for that is all we have.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I have two.
Okay, what's your second?
The second one is actually probably the more important one, which is when you do good for others, you do good for yourself. So
I mean, combined, those are like, peanut butter and chocolate right there. That's it's just like doing good right now. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, we loved talking to you. This is so inspiring. I feel like pumped up. It's like, don't just hit the bare minimum with your dreams. Like, go for it. Go for the whole thing. So I know you have so many things going on right now. So if you were to ask someone to visit your website, or are you looking for fosters right now? What would be your ask of people?
So we are always looking for fosters. That's an ongoing thing, especially since the moratorium on evictions is about to be raised. So, or it might have actually been this week, which means it's going to get really ugly out there. So fosters are always necessary. But right now we are stocking our clinic. So it takes a lot of money and equipment to put a veterinary clinic together. So we created this veterinary equipment drive. And you can just go to heartsalivevillage.shop. And you can actually pick out what you want to donate and donate the money, and we will purchase that item.
Amazing.
Wow. So yeah, it's cool.
That's so great. Well, we're so excited to see as you guys continue to expand, like all the amazing things that you're doing. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you. This is awesome. And thank you guys for everything you do. You've really helped us grow as well.
It was so incredible to talk to Sheryl today and hear about all the incredible things she's doing over at Hearts Alive Village in Las Vegas. We talked about so many things, including their multitude of programs that include community initiatives and financial assistance for those that need it. It's absolutely incredible. I'll say that again. If you do want to learn more about their organization, go ahead and check our show notes or our blog.
And don't forget to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all the things at We Love Cuddly. That's CUDDLY. Thanks so much.